Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Lessons Learned, the dumbest thing I've ever done with money. My name is Suzanne, and I'm the head coach at G.R.A.C.E Financial Coaching. And today we are talking with Fred Moskowitz. Fred is an educator and best-selling author. He's trained countless investors from all walks of life on how to create passive income streams. Fred manages a mortgage note investment fund and is considered an industry veteran within the note investing arena. He takes pride in collaborating with investors to help them grow and profit in the note space, as well as being a trusted and value resource. Fred's book, which is recently launched, is titled The Little Green Book of Note Investing, and it is available where finer books are sold. Thanks for joining us, Fred. How you doing today?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on today.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about note investing. I will say I've been doing this show for, oh my gosh, coming up on 4 years now, and we've not had anyone speak on this topic at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Note investing is a really interesting niche in the area of real estate, right? And let's face it, a lot of people know about real estate investing and they either know about it or they're involved in it, right? And there's so many ways. You got single family houses, commercial property, multifamily property, even vacation property, setting up short-term rentals, which is really popular now. All ways to buy real estate and earn cash flow off of the rental income, which is really powerful. But what I focus on is investing in the notes associated with those properties. So let's talk about what that is, about investing in the paper, which is the notes and mortgages associated with all of these different kinds of real estate. Most real estate in the United States is purchased with some kind of financing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to a bank or a lender, traditional lender for financing, the documentation that's generated, all that paperwork that you sign at the closing table,
all those things you just sign.
Yeah,
your
it
life
consists
away, right?
of a note, which is a promissory note, and a mortgage, or if you live out on the West Coast, they call it the deed of trust. Those are the two documents, the two financial instruments. So that's when we say note investing, we're referring to this collection of financial documents. And so banks and lenders, they sell mortgages. There's this huge secondary market where loans are bought and sold every single day. And I'll tell you what, this is a really interesting part of the real estate business. And in speaking with a lot of investors, I found that a lot of real estate investors, they don't pay any attention to it. And for most people, when they think of a note and a mortgage, they think of being the borrower and not as being the lender.
Mm.
So when you get involved with note investing, it allows you to step across the aisle and become the bank. And now you transition from being the one making the monthly payments to being the one receiving the monthly payments. And this is really powerful.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because the first thing that popped into my head when you started talking about the actual promissory note, the lending vehicle itself, you pretty much can't buy a house these days without going to closing, and within 30, 45 days, you get an email or a letter that your mortgage has been sold, right? So
Exactly.
that's basically how we are all familiar with this type of industry, right? We're just seeing our mortgage get sold from X bank to X lender. And okay, now instead of paying this guy, I pay that guy. We probably don't really think of that as an investment tool. We're thinking more of the physical property as the investment tool, not the document, to your point.
Right. That's exactly right. And a lot of people just don't know that individual investors, you're able to purchase and own a mortgage and own that loan. And whether you have a business doing that, or maybe you do it through your retirement account, it's really powerful, because it's a great way for an investor to get involved in real estate without having to have the hassles and headaches of owning and managing property and
Ugh.
dealing with tenants and repairs and all of these things, right?
Yeah,
And
I
the
my
best part,
previous job, and you don't know
mm,
this, but my previous life was a commercial property real estate manager, and so dealing with the ins and outs of tenants moving in, tenants moving out, tenants not paying their rent, tenants vacating the premises, tenants destroying the premises, and just dealing with all of those heartaches. And even your standard, you don't have to be a commercial property manager to deal with that stuff. Like you mentioned,
yeah,
you rent a vacation property, what we see typically under the Airbnb or the
yeah,
VRBO banner. Uh, you get one bad person in there and all of the logistical stuff that you have to deal with after the fact. You're not dealing with any of that when you're just investing in the promissory note itself, correct?
that's correct. And think about this: you are dealing with it's a big shift, because instead of dealing with tenants, you're dealing with homeowners. And so homeowners, when the heater breaks or the air conditioning breaks or the roof needs to be repaired, they don't call the bank and tell them about it. They
Right.
just handle it,
Yeah.
because the owner of the property is responsible for maintenance and upkeep of the property. And so that's a big distinction. Now, don't get me wrong, owning real estate, you can do really well with it. Fortunes have been made
Oh, yeah.
over the long term. It's just that it's a lot of work, and I find that it's not for everyone. And that's okay. That's okay, right? We all have different skills and abilities and desires and goals in life. So when I meet someone that they say, "Hey, Fred, I want to get involved in real estate, but I don't want to deal with all of these things and managing tenants," or maybe they did before. They say, "Hey, I've got a portfolio of 5 properties. I've sold them all, and now I want to redeploy my capital. I made a lot of money there, but now I
Mhm.
want to do something different." And now this is where the conversation about note investing can get really interesting.
How would one go about getting this? You mentioned it as part of a retirement portfolio or investment
Mhm.
portfolio. How would one go about getting that to become part of their retirement savings
Well,
plan, for
yeah,
example?
this is a great question. There's a few ways to get involved in note investing. The first way is buying notes. You go to the secondary market, you buy notes, you build up that portfolio and own and manage the portfolio on an ongoing basis. So that's one way. Now, the other way is maybe you want to be a passive investor. And so you can invest in a note fund that's
Mm,
professionally managed, and the fund managers handle the portfolio. They handle finding notes to buy, analyzing them, doing the due diligence, and then paying out a return to the investor. So now it becomes truly a passive investment for the investors. And if you're investing through a retirement account, um, there's a lot of requirements around that where you can't be directly involved in managing the investment. And
mhm.
so this is a great option for folks. And so it comes down to how much time do you have.
Mm,
If you have a lot of time, you want to be hands on and be in the business of note investing, then you can be an active investor. Buy notes, build the portfolio, manage it, and grow it. It's a great business. And then but it does take a lot of time. And then for someone else, maybe you're focused on your career, or you're a business owner and you're busy focusing on growing your business because that's what you're good at, then maybe being a passive investor could be a better option for you. But the bottom line is that you're putting your money to work, it's growing and compounding, and you're investing in something that's secured by an asset with tangible value. And so that gives you
right.
a lot of downside protection.
Yeah. And I like the point about if you're just going to use it as, not just, but if you're going to use it as part of your retirement portfolio, just as you're invested in a mutual fund, right? And you have the manager of the mutual fund, you have a manager of the note fund as
Yeah.
well, too. So it's a good way to think about it for people who are hearing this and saying, well, this makes a lot of sense, but I'm working full time, or I'm building my business right now, and I've got a wife and 3 kids at home, and I'm trying to just, maintain the daily lifestyle. I'm not going to be proactively buying these things directly right now, but this is a way to get involved passively.
It is. And here's another characteristic. If you have a tax issue
Mm,
and you say, hey, I'm not keen on doing a lot of investing because I'm already paying so much in taxes. Well, if you invest through a retirement account, and the most optimal one for someone like that would be the Roth IRA or
sure.
Roth 401k, doing note investing in that vehicle, now all your growth is tax free because in a Roth IRA, there's no taxes at all on the growth of the account. And so this can be a great option to put together note investing, which does generate tax liability. And if you put it into the bucket of a Roth account, now that's really powerful because all your growth is 100% tax free. And so that's a great strategy. And it works with HSA accounts as well. You can do
Yes.
it. So
Yeah.
I always love sharing about that because there's some powerful strategies are out there. And you know what? I always hear about this, Suzanne. People in general, um, they look negatively upon those that want to structure their affairs to minimize taxes. But
Oh,
this is not like some kind of obscure tax loophole, right?
right.
This is right in the tax code. It's available to all American taxpayers. And it's just that it's up to you to take the initiative to learn about it, see how it works, and then put a plan in place.
Yeah.
And it's available to virtually anyone.
Absolutely. And it's actually available to the majority of people, right? Because you can eventually make too much money and you will be disqualified from having a Roth. If you're making over the income limit, you may not be able to contribute directly to a Roth in certain situations. So this really, truly does apply to the majority of Americans, where you can take advantage of the Roth IRA, the Roth 401k, and the HSA. The tax sheltered status of the HSA is
Yeah,
a relatively new thing, right?
it
Last year and
is.
a half, right? Approximately.
More than that. It's been
More
around
than a
longer
little more
than
than that.
that.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but people are just realizing, and HSAs, I mean, 10 years ago, nobody had an HSA, right? Or
Yeah,
one
no,
one out of 10 people had an HSA, and now everyone's got an HSA.
it's powerful. You know why?
Yeah.
Because you get a tax deduction on the contribution, and then you grow tax free in the account, and then later on, when you draw from it, as long as you're using it for medical expenses like it's
Mhm.
supposed to, it's tax free
Yeah,
again. And
yeah.
so it's like a triple tax benefit that no other kind of account has available. It's
Yeah, and
really
if
powerful.
you've got little kids and it's the winter and they're sick every other week and you're at the doctor every other week and you're purchasing medication every other week, it is definitely comes in handy because but like you said, it's tax-free money sitting there for you to use for those expenses. So,
Yeah.
well, Fred, most of the people listening to this show know that we ask all of our guests one very important question. What would you say is the dumbest thing you have ever done with money?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I'll share with you a little bit about my background and what happened to me. I came from a long and successful career working as a computer engineer in the tech industry.
Oh, okay.
Like really, real exciting. Uh, I loved working in the tech industry, and I came up during the years of the dot-com boom.
Oh,
And so imagine what kind of a wild roller coaster ride that was. I spent years working at different tech companies, startup companies, And it was wonderful, but very unstable.
Mm.
Very unstable. We went through the dot-com boom years, and then that was immediately followed by the bursting of the dot-com bubble and the September 11th terrorist attacks. So all this turmoil in the world. And what I realized through all of this was that it didn't matter how good of an engineer I was or how talented of an employee I was. If things weren't going well at the company, or if the company was going to go under, then I would quickly lose my job through no fault of my own. And so I realized that one of the worst things that I was doing at that time was that I was taking on this huge risk because I was relying on the paycheck from my job as my only source of income. My only source of income. And so through those times of uncertainty, I realized, hey, I need to change something. This is not good. And I was not happy with that lack of ability, lack of options.
Right. And not only is it just a matter of where, when we look back on it, we can say something very simplistic, such as, oh, I didn't know where, if the next paycheck was coming through. Yeah. Okay, well, that's true. But the amount of stress that puts on a person and a family is untold,
It is.
And you have to think, you have to really put yourself either back in your shoes back then or back in whoever else's shoes back then and really think about the amount of stress and what it's doing to your body health-wise.
This is true. Yeah, it's very harmful.
Yeah,
very harmful. And it puts you in financial jeopardy. It really does. Mm-hmm. And so this is what inspired me to say, hey, I want to develop other sources of income in addition to what I earn from my work, from my full-time job. And so this is what got me interested in learning about alternative investments. Alternative investments means you're not in the stock market. It's all about buying and building assets that you can own and control, and they generate income and cash flow for you, so that no matter what happens elsewhere in your life, you have some rental properties generating income. You have a portfolio of notes generating loan payments every month. And so this happens whether you're working or not. Mm-hmm. And that was a game changer for me, and really was how I started setting up a solid foundation for financial resiliency in my life.
Mm-hmm. Now, how long did you stick around in the software engineering world?
Many years. I mean, I love doing it. And the interesting thing that happened, Suzanne, was that after many years, one day I came to the realization that I was starting to earn enough income from my investments to cover all my basic living expenses. And then what happened was, from that point forward, I realized that now I'm going to be working because I want to and not because I have to. And it really changes your mindset when you have that.
Right. Because if you start off with passive investing in alternative investments, no matter what area it's in, right, you're probably not going to replace your current income immediately.
No, it's a long-term
right.
play. All of these strategies we're talking about, it's long-term.
Right.
So it's not some kind of get rich quick overnight thing at all.
Right.
You have to go into it with the idea that, hey, I'm planning for my future here doing this. And it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding in the end.
Yeah, that's, I think, and not that, at any time in the world's history has there not been get rich quick schemes, right? There's always going to be those people out there who say that you can do this quickly, or you can do that quickly, or you can bring in income quickly. And there's always going to be those people who are looking for those things. But the long-term, starting this, so I guess we could say that, the dumbest thing you ever did was not start it sooner.
Yeah, that could be, or just not realizing. I would say it was that I didn't realize the importance of getting
Mm,
started, right? And everyone I've ever met at, from speaking with investors, they all say saying, "Oh, I love this. I wish I got started sooner."
right.
Everyone says that. It doesn't matter whether you're 25 or 65.
Yeah.
People say that same thing, and it's okay. You just didn't know.
Yeah.
You didn't have an awareness of it, and um, it's like anything else. When is the best time to get started in investing? It's 20 years ago.
Hmm.
When's the second best time? It's right now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's it.
It is. It's totally. But then I think the second lesson to that is, so give yourself a little grace and say, hey, you didn't know any better, like you said, right? But then you let it work. I've been, I don't know why this has come up so many times recently. Do you remember those old infomercials with the guy who sold the little rotisserie chicken cookers and he used to say, set it and forget it?
Mm,
And that's what I always tell people, especially when it comes to the stuff that's going to need long-term investing.
yeah.
Don't stop playing around with it. Go read Fred's book, do a little bit now and let it, just let it take its course. Don't stop going with the get rich quick stuff. But if you can start it sooner than later, that would be great. Because that would help you, alleviate the stress from your life and eventually get to a place where you woke up and said, this is my income.
And it also gives you there's a mindset element to it as well. The feeling of knowing that you're building something, that you're in a creation mode. You're building something for your future, and maybe you can't see a big difference from day to day,
Right.
but when you look back a couple of years later and see how far you've come, then you're like, wow, look at
Yeah.
this.
Right. Look at
Now
the
now
change.
this something's happening, and it builds momentum just like a snowball rolling down the hill.
Yeah. So in the show notes, I'm going to have all of Fred's contact information. But Fred, tell us a little bit about the book. It's called The Little Green Book of Note Investing.
Yes, it's available on Amazon, The Little Green Book of Note Investing. And what I've done with the book is to provide a high-level introductory overview of how to get started in note investing, what it is, how does the industry work. And we have chapters in there talking about due diligence, how to find
Mm.
notes, how to analyze them, as well as two chapters focused on how to use retirement accounts to do note investing, like what we were talking about earlier. And so this is a great high level overview for anyone that wants to learn more about something that is a very powerful asset class.
Yeah, before Fred and I hit record here today, I said to him, I said, no one's talked about this on my show, and I've been doing this for a while now, so so it's something that we should all regale ourselves of and learn this part of the industry of, technically, like you said, the real estate investing industry.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not all HGTV and horror stories of, redoing and flipping houses. There are easier ways to go about investing in the real estate world.
Yeah, there are. And I feel that it's a really powerful business and a powerful strategy. And there's so many different ways for someone to get involved in it, as I mentioned earlier. And so it's about seeing what options there are and picking something that works for you.
Yeah.
And that's how to get started. Yeah.
I think that's
And
great advice on how to get started in any investing area.
yeah, any
Involvement in
investing.
investments. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today, Fred. I hope everybody enjoyed our episode today. And
Thank you.
like I said, all of Fred's contact information will be in the show notes, and you can pick up a copy of his book there. And I hope you'll join me next week for another episode of Lessons Learned, the dumbest thing I've ever done with money. Thanks again, Fred.
Thank